Good solid volley, really difficult, strange enough, on this court to actually change direction. There's a bit of grit in it. Normally you have very good footing on this sort of surface. It's very hard, concrete-like, plexi-paved court. Strange how Rios can make that and find the room now, whereas in the tiebreaker, similar sort of situation, all he could find was Rosetsky or the net. The winner today gets $361,000. The runner-up $190,000. 370 ranking points to the winner, 265 to the runner-up. I remind you, the winner of this match will be third in the rankings tomorrow, the loser fifth. Either way, that'll be a career high for Marcelo Rios. Greg, of course, has been number 4 before. So it'll only be a career high for Greg if he wins the match. Well, certainly no signs in this game that he's regained some of the fluency of his earlier matches off the ground. Fourth ace from Rios, another love service game for him. 7 in the match for him, just 1 for Rosetsky. It was against Jim Courier, he won the set, but lost the next 2. And as a result, Jonas Bjorkman, who started the week at number 5, will find himself dropping down a couple of places. Patrick Rafter will drop a place. Really has returned so well, apart from, as Fred was saying, in that tiebreak when the tension just got to him a little bit. Well, for once, Rosetsky wins one of those points where he's handed not the return that either of them would have expected. It's a slight mishit by Rios, who's trying to keep it down, but Rosetsky really hasn't done much with them. In fact, he's usually hit him out or in the net. Oh. It's a brilliant shot. Well, we've seen some good ones, but I think that's about as good a return as we've seen, because Rosetsky had good swing on it. That's certainly the strangest return we've seen today. He seems a little bemused occasionally. Early on, I know Rosetsky spun one, and Rios had no idea which way it was spinning. And that's off the shaft. Almost as if occasionally he's a little hypnotized by Rosetsky's reputation. Who wouldn't be at 149 miles an hour? Or if you prefer it, 240 kilometers an hour. Either way, quick. Yes, I think he really ought to be nationalized, sort of part of the armaments industry.
certainly done a lot for the balance of payments, bringing all the currency into the country. Now he really can't find a pattern on that return. I think he's really got to go back to his slice, which he used well against Enquist and Worcester.
And that's the first point Rios has conceded on serve in this set.
Serve looked a mile out.
Still got no rhythm on the return that slice. He played very late. Rios on serve, 3-2, third set. Against Greg Rusedski at 1-all. Rusedski's just got to rely on good serving, solid volleying to stay in this match. It worked for him in the second set. He won that extraordinary tiebreak, 17 points to 15, because the grand stroke game just isn't there at the moment. And I suppose if you've got not a lot of feel on your ground strokes through, it's difficult to have feel on the volley as well.
Yes, it really hinges on the serve, I think. Once he's into a really good pattern on the serve, I think the others might fall into place a little bit more. But certainly if he's not slicing his backhand well, his backhand volley is going to suffer a little bit.
It was a 13th ace, by the way. Crowd here seems fairly well split. Enthusiastic support for both of them. Double fault number 6.
He prefers hitting that two-hander flat. And of course, if it gets up a little high, it's very difficult to hit it flat.
Rusedski taking a lot of pace off that first serve, as you saw.
Now there's the difference. The half volley, of course, not bouncing up as high. Therefore, Rios can really control and hit it flat. He's taking a longer swing on his two-hander this year. It used to be a much shorter stroke, which of course enables him to return well.
Again, Rosetsky clings on.
Yes, 3-all. He's lost 8 points, and Rios has lost 1 point on his serve in this third set. But the point is, it's perhaps even more frustrating for Rios to be winning his own service game so easily and coming close on Rosetsky's and yet not making the breakthrough. After all, he's the man who's supposed to have the ground strokes. Rosetsky meant amongst the top players to have some of the worst ground strokes. It's not going to please Rios. Just looking up tiebreakers, I mentioned Rosetsky's at Queens. I know in there was a match played between Arthur Ashe and Bernie Mitten at Queens in which there was a 31-29 tiebreaker. A match that went to 15-13 in the third and lasted about 5 hours.
Another very easy service game for Rios. Just 1 more point against him. He leads 4-3. Rios lost a quarter at the Australian Open. Rosetsky lost to Ivanisevic in the Croatian indoors. That's incredible stuff from Rios.
Well, he did so well to keep it up because Rosetsky had played a good shot there, and that wouldn't have surprised me if they'd called that out. It must have just got a bit of the line. Just cut inside it. That enabled him to control it.
Seems to me that those serves at or around the body are the most effective, certainly on the second serve. For Rios width, and he's using it. Ace number 15. And a comparatively comfortable service game for Rosetsky.
Well, Rios likes to take the ball pretty early, and of course, second serve, he stands in that little bit closer. He likes to take it inside the baseline, and with Rosetsky still hitting a fairly powerful serve on the second, straight at him, he's not having any time to get out of the way, and as I said earlier, it doesn't read the spin particularly well.
No, I really don't think this is the right way for Rosetsky to chip and charge off the return. He's not getting angles, he's not getting depth, and he's just being picked off time and time again. I think he's got to work his openings and then get in. Eighth love service game of the match for Rios. And he leads by 5 games to 4. Third set at 1 set all of serving to stay in this third set. Four, 5.
Rios not convinced of that. Certainly very close again.
It's always surprised me that an event of this status and run so superbly well by Charlie Pasarell,
yes,
but they don't have the bleep, they don't have Cyclops.
Yeah, they should certainly pay that extra bit of money for it.
It's tough being a service judge when you've got somebody flinging it down at 140 miles an hour.
Well, and it just eliminates most of the doubt, because the machines sometimes make errors, but rarely. The point is, they're much more difficult to argue against.
16th ace. And just a second at love service game. Now, can he conjure up some returns, some better ground stroke play?
Well, that should tell him, and he's had most of his success over the last few days when he's had a little bit more patience. And you can see there Rios a little bit impatient.
There was half a chance there.
It's got to be remembered, Rios finds it difficult to hit clean winners from the back of the court on the backhand side. As long as Rosetsky gets the ball back, he's always in with a chance. Rios on the forehand is a different story.
Yeah, I don't think that's the right tactic. I really don't. He's not playing well enough to be hitting winners off service returns.
Got to weigh up Rosetsky just how much pressure Rios might feel. It may just be worthwhile coming in early on.
Well, this is the first deuce game on the Rios serve since the very first game of the match. There were 4 deuces in that game and 2 break points for Rosetsky. He hasn't sniffed a break point since. Six 6-5 then to Rios. We're on the set.
Well, Rios thought he had a lot more open court, but good movement by Rosetsky and lovely control of the racket head there for that volley.
Seventh double fault. It's a huge slice of good fortune.
It's about all you can do. Well, that body line tactic really reaping its reward. Yes, just doesn't read him.
We'll go to a second tie break. And if it's anything like the first, 17-15, I don't think White Hart will last the course through.
Well, he enjoys that shot, but he hasn't overdone it today. It's actually amazing that Rios plays as many tiebreakers as he does. Last year he played 41 tiebreakers.
Foot fault called.
Second time he's been foot faulted.
And he served 2 double faults in the second set tiebreak and got away with it, but pushing his luck.
Just got to tell himself that he's always in with a chance against the Rios serve. There's unlikely to be a spurt of aces.
Well done. The mini break is recovered.
Rios perhaps wondering about the lob, but of course it's always a bit of a risk. You drop it short and the man buries you with the ace, with the smash. Probably wise to go, but just lifting it a little too much, and good coverage by Rosetsky, really close to the net, closing in on it.
Well, that's an extraordinary shot.
Rios must be wondering what on earth he has to do. Perhaps he has to go down on his knees like Rosetsky did with that one. And a little prayer, I'm sure, helped. He had no chance. You can see the ball bouncing 3-4 times, and it's hardly moved towards him. Rosetsky having to play it behind him, and therefore getting a little bit of cut under the ball, and it just holding it back. well.
Yeah, another desperately tight call. Oh, it's a brilliant shot. That really is a brilliant shot.
Rios came in early in the match. He actually served volley very early in the match for him. Obviously a game plan, so that if he has to do it again at some stage, come into the net, he has done it before in this match. So often players, when in tight situations, will suddenly go in when they haven't done it.
Once again, Rios leads 6-4 in the tiebreak. 2 set points. Remember, he led 6-4 in the last tiebreak. That's wide, and Rios wins that tiebreak by 7 points to 4, and he leads by 2 sets to 1 after an hour and 7 minutes, 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Well, I don't think we can dispute the fairness or the justice, really, of Rios winning a tiebreaker, because set points in the second set tiebreaker, 2 sets to love, it might well all have been over, but for the fact that Rusedski is showing tremendous pluck, tremendous courage, and the fact too that Rios is winning his own service games so much more easily than Rusedski, that somehow I feel it's only fair.
2 sets to 1. Here we go with the fourth.
One-handed return from Rios, and didn't really get hold of the two-hander when he went to play it. Not a good stop volley by Rusedski.
Yes, it was good for depth, just too much of an angle. Ninth double fault.
And missed first serves might just cause him to take a bit off here. I normally like to see Rusedski even serving more powerfully in tight situations, but it's been a bit ragged today.
That time, I confess, through that I was surprised he didn't put up the lob. There was time for it. Rosetsky was crawling all over the top of the net.
Yeah, I think he chose, I think the ground stroke was the right one, but of course Rosetsky just anticipated the off forehand. Or the passing shot, rather.
Rosetsky. Game, 4 set. Ball change, please.
So Rosetsky held serve at the start of the 4th set, but it's Rios who leads by 2-1. Rain once again basking in glorious sunshine. Of course, Martina Hingis winning the women's title yesterday. Straight sets over Lindsay Davenport. Rios leading by 2-1. Love won in the 4th.
Well, considering how much serving Rios has had to do in this match, they both have, of course. Incredible that he hasn't served a double yet. Not that he serves many of them. He averages just over 3 a game, or did last year. In the last few matches, he's, I think, only served 1 double.
40-50.
Yeah, it's a pretty economical service action. He doesn't do the complete swing, just cuts it across at his waist, which is why he doesn't get great power.
And he should have earlier talked about his semi-final win over Michael Gamble, because we left it when it rained at 6-all in the first set. There was a 2-hour rain delay. Rios came out, won the tiebreak 7-3. And Gamble actually broke to lead 2-1 in the second set. Rios broke straight back, broke again in the 6th game when Gamble framed a smash. And that was effectively that. Rios winning 7-6, 6-3. So a second successive deuce game on the Rios serve, his last service game of the last set. And now then, Rosetsky with his first break point since the 2 he had in game number 1. In fact, there wasn't a single break point in second or third sets to either man.
Well, the serve was all right, but he came up on it very soon. This reflects the lack of rhythm, the lack of smoothness.
And that's been the problem today for Rosetsky. The ground strokes have never flowed. It's never going to be his strength, but he's displayed in his last 2 matches the vast improvement he's made over the last 18 months in that department.
Tremendous second serve and swinging away from the 5'9" Rios.
"17 aces." But far too many of those volleys, not difficult ones, have been missed. And the fact that he let it bounce, okay, he played a good shot afterwards, indication that he's not confident on the high volleys at the moment. Tenth double. He's been much better on the waist-high volleys than the shoulder-high volleys. 2-1. Stretched his winning sequence to 13 matches before losing to Gamble, including a win over Patrick Rafter.
Rosetsky went off the court in the warm-up, much as Rios did at the Australian Open. So that enables him to take this break and also one more if he chooses to. Best of 5-set match. You're allowed to go off twice for a toilet break. But if you take it in the warm-up, you can then therefore go off 3 times.
And you can see that Marcelo Rios decided to do the same. Let's remind you of the situation.
I wonder if they had a chat about the tiebreaker while they were in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they would have exchanged words. Rosetsky leads by 2-1 on serve. Rios by 2-1. Ace number 5.
What I find interesting too about the fact that Rosetsky went off before the match during the warm-up was that he must have been off for 3 minutes or so, and then they started the match straight away. They had already had their warm-up. With Rios serving, you'd have thought, well, perhaps he'd have, liked a couple of serves, not having done anything for 3 minutes while Rosetsky was away.
Yes, no smoothness, no consistency off the ground today. We know he can play so much better than this. He's shown us time and time again in recent months.
game, Rios.
But it's ironic, isn't he? I mean, here he is playing against the man who on the tour this year is the best there is. Winning opponents' serves, first serves, service games, you name it. He's the best returner this year. Rossetti's playing badly, and it's as close as they come. I think that one was on the line.
18th ace. Now, what we noticed off the replays against Thomas Enquist when he was getting foot faulted is that his back foot comes through and steps on the line.
Yeah, sometimes that left toe hovers. Very rarely it just touches the line, which is when the foot fault is called. Otherwise, he almost stubs his toe on the court, this side of the line, fortunately for him. Well, that's a good serve, slowing it down, but the spin just deceiving Rios. He actually had time to get his two hands behind it, but assumed it was going to be a much faster first serve. See the marks on the courts where the servers drag their toes as they serve.
3-2 then to Greg Rusedski in the fourth set. Game's going with serve. And the kicker out wide. Certainly can vary those serves. So, Fruit, you're in a situation, you've been out there for very nearly 2.5 hours. And you're thinking to yourself, well, look, my ground strokes are all over the place. What am I going to do to change that?
Well, I would be inclined to do exactly what I've been doing in my previous two matches. My last match was against a left-hander, so this is nothing strange playing Rios suddenly. But what I did do well against Muster and Enquist was return well and rally pretty well, and he's been pretty successful. He's won, I would say, 50% of the rallies against Rios, the long rallies that they've had, which is very, very good indeed. So really what it means is that Rios is not hurting him that much from the back of the court, and I would rely on the slice backhand. I would be very disinclined to use the roll backhand during the course of a rally, chiefly because Rios is not hurting, and I'm not likely to hurt Rios because I'm very erratic if I start going for my ground strokes, which in a way contradicts what I usually say about Rossetti. But the fact is that sometimes he never tries to play the roll, in which case he doesn't know how well or how poorly he's hitting it. Today he's tried it often enough, and it's awful. So why bother?
Two, three.
The opponent plays a point like that, and there's not a lot you can do. You just got to shrug it off and say, I'll win this one. There we are. He's got Rios actually on the move, on the defensive, with slice backhands and a good forehand, and then he tries the flat or the roll backhand.
And if you tell me that one man would have 9 love service games and another 2, I don't think I would have expected it to be 9 to Rios and 2 to Rusedski. 3-all. That's worrying, isn't it? That percentage really dropping down in this set. 11 doubles. Because it's the serve that's keeping him in it.
Well, it's a terrific point because this was a good volley from Rusedski, but the return was quality, and then this little roll cross court, denying himself the flat one.
Fine anticipation, but gosh, he needs some first serves here. 3 missed so far.
Well, he finally handles a miss hit pretty well. Always likely to come, even though the aces haven't been as profuse. The penetrating serve unlikely to appear. All the more frustrating for Rios.
Well, as we were saying earlier, when he gives Rios a little bit of width on the second serve, he really's got to use this one into the body a bit more. Of course, even better, get the first serve in. 19th ace.
I can understand Rusedski not using it a lot, even though he's had great success serving it into Rios, because he figures that his serve is going to click sooner rather than later, and if he can go for width, he normally serves, even second serves, he'll get a lot of aces, and consequently he's determined to try and get totally switched on with his serve. And in some ways, even though he's had success serving into the body and winning points, I think he would think that a little negative if he did it more often.
Well, Rios will be desperately disappointed with that. That was a real opportunity. Now that's a magnificent shot. Just a little flick of the wrist.
And it was one of those that had the perfect parabola, because there was no way Rosiecki could chase after it, and no way he could leap up and get it either.
Gosh, he put a lot of work on that second serve. Well, again, he clings on. Tough service game. He's having to work so much harder than Rios, but it's 4-3 on serve.
One of his customary little genuflections, Rios. It's not tiredness. He sometimes will do one of his knee bends early on in a match.
Good kick on that serve too, really reared up, not a top spin on the ball. And again, we're into this pattern now of Rios really holding serve easily, and Rosiecki having to work so hard. It must, through I would have thought, take its toll.
Well, I think it takes its toll on both people. It frustrates Rios because he wins his games easily, and yet Rosiecki's struggling, but he can't break through. Rios coming into this final played 82 games. Rosiecki nearly 20 more at 101, but he's a big, strong man. Well, that'll tire somebody out of anything, Will, having to stretch up like that for a lob. A little gingerly as he moved away to play the forehand, but got over there. Just taken a little bit of extra time to catch his breath. think that lob did the trick. It's broken his back a little.
And these now Rios's first break points since the 8th game of the match. And of course, if he takes one of them, he'll be serving for the title. The 12th break point. And Rios senses that he's got it. And Rusedski fears that he has. Remember, Rusedski hasn't broken serve. He's had 3 break points in the match. And now he's got to break serve or it's all over.
I think it's all your fault for saying that it surely had taken its toll on him. I was trying to shift the luggage to Rios. There's no doubt that Rusedski felt it. Once that lob had taken it out of him, he'd stretched up for that. One could just see him suddenly breathing that little bit extra, taking his time, wise, but suddenly some of the muscle, some of the tone had gone out of him. And of course, one of the problems is you tend to...
7 in the match for him, just 1 for Rusedski. It was against Jim Courier. He won the set, but lost the next 2. And as a result, Jonas Bjorkman, who started the week at number 5, will find himself dropping down a couple of places. Patrick Rafter will drop a place. Really has returned so well, apart from, as Frew was saying, in that tiebreak when the tension just got to him a little bit.
Well, for once, Rusedski wins one of those points where he's handed not the return that either of them would have expected. It's a slight mishit by Rios, who's trying to keep it down, but Rusedski really hasn't done much with them. In fact, he's usually hit him out or in the net. Good solid volley, really difficult, strange enough, on this court to actually change direction. There's a bit of grit in it. Normally you have very good footing on this sort of surface. It's very hard, concrete-like, plexi-paved court. Strange how Rios can make that and find the room now, whereas in the tiebreaker, similar sort of situation, all he could find was Rusedski or the net. A lot for the balance of payments, bringing all the currency into the country. Now he really can't find a pattern on that return. I think he's really got to go back to his slice, which he used well against Enquist and Worcester.
And That's the first point Rios has conceded on serve in this set.
Serve looked a mile out.
It's a brilliant shot.
Well, we've seen some good ones, but I think that's about as good a return as we've seen, because Rossetti had good swing on it.
That's certainly the strangest return we've seen today.
He seems a little bemused occasionally. Early on, I noticed Rossetti spun one, and Rios had no idea which way it was spinning. That's off the shaft. Almost as if occasionally he's a little hypnotized by Rossetti's reputation. Who wouldn't be at 149 miles an hour?
Or if you prefer it, 240 kilometers an hour. Either way, quick.
Yes, I think he really ought to be nationalized, sort of part of the armaments industry. Certainly done a...
The winner today gets $361,000. The runner-up, $190,000. 370 ranking points to the winner, 265 to the runner-up. I remind you, the winner of this match will be third in the rankings tomorrow. The loser, fifth. Either way, that'll be a career high for Marcelo Rios. Greg, of course, has been number 4 before. So it'll only be a career high for Greg if he wins the match.
Well, certainly no signs in this game that he's regained some of the fluency of his earlier matches off the ground.
Fourth ace from Rios, another love service game for him.